Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to our live chat on a sustainable solution, Chem Scan Check, 0% unexpected chemical risk. Today we are with Daniela, Deputy General Manager at Warm Safety Laboratories, and Laurence, Director of Business Development Europe at SGT. Hi Daniela. Hi Laurence.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here today. And you will find in our LinkedIn profile a link with the bio of both Daniela and Laurence if you want to have more information and contact them. Before we dig deeper into the topic that brings us here today, I would like to quickly introduce the group for those who might not know us yet. So Warm Safety is a family group with more than 170 years of experience. We have a presence worldwide with 1,400 specialists in 80 countries and a network of 15 laboratories. Within the group, we have companies specialized in different areas of expertise. And since today we're focusing on consumer goods, I would like to introduce one of them, SGT, the textile expert of the group. Warm Safety Laboratories bring its lab expertise and innovation to all of them, supporting with advanced tailor-made solution for each of our clients' needs. And this is exactly what brings us here today. One of the solutions developed by Warm Safety Laboratories to bring a sustainable way of 0% unexpected chemical risk, the Chem Scan Check. I believe Laurence has a few insights to share about how this new solution is helping some of her customers.
Hi, Céline. Thanks a lot. I'm really happy to be here today. As you mentioned before, I'm in charge of SGT European Sales Business Development since almost 8 years now. I've been working in the textile and fashion industry since 1996. Held different sales positions around product management, including complex garments like outdoor licensed clothing, and I work for brands, trading companies, or agents. I visited many production units together with designers, buyers, or product managers. SGT holds today a bit more than 300 customers. They are manufacturers, brands, and retailers. They come from the mass market to luxury houses, from different cultures and different countries. We all have a very high demanding end consumer. All our customers face more than ever some very challenging contexts. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, raw material price increase, logistical issue, subcontracting, lack of transparency. I can see different setup, awareness, and needs among those customers as far as compliance, regulation, risk, and sustainability is concerned. Some of my customers have very mature testing programs in place. They have a strong risk metric analysis. They are aware of the high demanding pressure of the market. They know the regulation. Of course, they know their final consumer. They know the need for transparency. But they need the support from an expert to monitor their vendors in the gray zone, for example. They need one test that can include different substances with fast results and attractive offer. Some other only focus on finished goods, which means when there is a high level of risk substance detected, it is too late. They have to cancel the order. For sure, that places them in front of a system with limitation. Some other have no system in place, no chemical or regulatory expertise, but they still want to offer the consumer or their brand a secure product. They definitely all want to be more compliant, more transparent, and they understand also the need to empower their vendors.
So with this in mind, Laurence, what's your idea? What would you like to offer to our clients?
Well, in this context, I want to support my customers more on addressing the root cause of the problem rather than the consequence. I see the limitation of a random detection of a symptom, of course. I see the limitation of operating in silos. There is an evidence to integrate a 360 risk prevention approach. I want to bring them a solution that offers a real advanced compliance support, with, of course, a strong convergence of all our expertise. In fact, I want to help my customers to be a pioneer. That means the first one to know and to do so. And of course, reinforced by our strong digitalization and recent innovations, it will probably be more agile, safer, faster, and cheaper.
Okay, I understand. And yes, indeed. We face today many situations where we see customers looking for a different approach to chemical testing. It can be for the reason that you mentioned before. Let's look at the mainstream testing approach currently that I am exposed to mainly. And it is a risk-based approach. So we're doing 20 to 30 individual tests on average, focusing really on the most risky substances that are expected to be in the material. So where does this come from? And this really comes from like groups, for example, like the European Chemical Agency Authority, the ECHA, or like groups like a firm who define like this really long list of restricted substances, the so-called RSL. And often they have also a defined test method for a certain substance group. So looking at these lists that might contain hundreds of substances, it's often not economically feasible to do all the testing. So what is happening? People pick the most critical parameter. And this kind of testing strategy might work for some, or it worked in the past, but looking at the increased unknown origin of materials, because we have increased complex supply chain, or we have a supply chain shift, for example, due to the pandemic. We have the usage of more and more recycled material where people do not know for what the material was used prior to being manufactured in, for example, a textile. And also we have upcoming stricter and stricter regulations. So I really see a rethinking is taking place in the industry as the benefits of really active chemical management starts to outweigh the related cost. So, and in order to support our customers, we would like to really help them to take the next step in changing their test strategies. And this is why we developed Chem Scan Check, because we can scan over 285 substances in one go. And instead of just looking for the expected outcome, we really want to offer insight to what our clients normally do not see when they just run by the traditional risk-based test approach.
Yes. And so, Daniela, what is new and unique with the Chem Scan Check?
Let me start first in general what I see unique about all my lab services. So and I'm really happy that it aligns with what your expectations and what your offer request would be to your customers, or to our customers, I have to say. We really want to transform lab testing from just this random detection of a symptom presented in a failed past test report. We really want to change this into a verification method for risk prevention action that can be executed on our client side. Of course, we can offer in our 15 laboratories within the Warm Safety Laboratory Network, we can offer the traditional way of testing. Don't get me wrong, but we really want to enable our customer to anticipate risk, to identify root causes, and just simply go beyond what they can see today. Now coming back to ChemScan specifically, obviously performing one test instead of a full substance list test by test is the proposal we would like to bring to the market. And with only up to 5 grams of material, you can get a screening results referring to the AFOM restricted substances list for your textile and plastic materials. And we can achieve results in up to 72 hours. So additionally, I would like to say that we can also provide that service at a cost level that actually makes sense.
So our customers can get an increased visibility in a single test, and they are able to get the results in only 72 hours, right, Daniela?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. You're pointing out the 72 hours, and I do agree on the visibility. Important not so much when I talk to customers about what is important for them. The 72 hours is fairly a side aspect. Customers are really excited about the opportunities this method provides to achieve their company strategy. And I have to say I met people who have very visionary planning for the upcoming years that do not traditionally focus on the common testing parameter like sample size, lead time, or test cost. But from sales, key account, business development perspective, I do understand it's a very good sales argument to say we can perform in 72 hours.
Right, so it's applicable to all products containing plastic and textile, right? Our current scope focuses in textile, apparel, footwear, and home textile. And it's also applicable to sensitive products, for example, such as baby wear. What is interesting is that it's applicable from the start till the end, from raw materials, semi-finished or finished products. And finally, it's applicable for the monitoring of recycled or certified materials, right?
Yeah, that's totally right. Chem Scan Check can be extremely helpful as a tool of the whole supply chain. Also, it can serve different purposes based on a very specific need a client might have. So you mentioned in the beginning some of the different challenges companies are facing when they deal with chemical management topics. So we offer Chem Scan Check service not just as a one-size-fits-all solution, but within a customized concept addressing very specific focus points. Like, for example, monitoring purposes within a vendor empowerment program, or complementing a scientific method for a sustainability strategy. When we started ChemScan development and we looked into like the needs, we did an internal research and we found actually that 80% of the chemicals in Asia are either produced locally or from an unknown source. So even our clients with a strong global quality management program face a certain risk that still exists. And in the contents, as I mentioned earlier, with the recycled material increasingly being used, you have even a higher risk to have unknown substances in the materials. So mentioning the baby wear, for example, so we have seen cases in sensitive products like the baby wear that were passing the risk approach based on RSL list testing approach. But with our Chem Scan Check, we detected a non-compliance in the normally not tested substances groups.
That's true. You remember also the case where we saw with flame retardants found in shirt buttons. This is particularly unlikely to happen, but it was detected with the Chem Scan Check.
Yeah, that's what we saw. Most likely because the supplier used recycled materials, probably used in an electronic product in its previous life. And this is actually not an isolated case. We also had a teddy bear where we detected the presence of an exotic fertilizer. And digging a bit deeper, the brand then found that the new supplier they were working with was using local chemicals. And that's why we found the fertilizer in the product.
Yes, I remember another one. In this case, the Chem Scan Check allowed our customer to go one step beyond. They were not usually testing their labels, which is a rather common practice. But you remember they did a screening with the Chem Scan Check, and they found that one of their certified suppliers was producing non-compliant labels with organic carriers over the limit of compliance. Jumping on another question I have for you, Daniela, why 255 chemicals?
That's a good question. And it's actually more than 285. And it's just the start. It's not the end. It's a dynamic program. And looking at our test equipment that we currently have in our laboratory, we can actually test over 500 substances, which are calibrated with external standards. So we still have room for improvement. Having said that, Chem Scan Check uses powerful solvent and powerful equipment, but there is a limitation to organic substances. Also, looking at R&D development time, it takes us quite some effort to make sure the test is repeatable and it's accurate. So in the initial phase, before this rollout, we really wanted to focus on the textile industry, and on the Affirm RSL to bring a benefit fast to the market. So this is the limitation of Chem Scan Check. Of course, if a client looks for 100% Affirm RSL, which also includes the non-organic substances, we would then add the traditional test methods in order to have 100% compliance.
And which are the chemicals covered by the Chem Scan Check?
I will not run through the over 200.
Another very difficult question for me.
Okay, so let me just name the common substance groups, because I think for this kind of format it's a little bit challenging if I run now also through all the groups. So obviously we cover the common ones: phthalates, PAH, the azo dyes, the disperse dyes, the short and middle chained chlorinated paraffins, PCP, VOCs, APOs, NPOs, OPOs, dimethylfumarate, PFOA, just to mention. And as mentioned earlier, we have in place a system how to really cover the full Affirm list by adding the heavy metals and the formaldehyde on top via traditional test methods.
Great. Thanks a lot, Daniela. It was really nice to talk to you on the solution and to dig a bit further on this topic. I wish you a nice day.
Yeah, thanks, Laurence. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope I answered all your questions, because I know there's no easy way to explain chemical test methods and why they can make a difference. And in case you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me, and thanks for having me.